All right, everybody. I want to salute everybody for making it here today on Levels of Mastery Live. If you're catching the pre-recording, sorry you couldn't make it. It is what it is. Everybody that's here live is going to have an opportunity to tap in with me, one-on-one or whatever case to me, ask me questions. That's the perk of being here live, okay? I am your host, Master Pyro, here on IMC TV Levels of Mastery, where I share my insights, my ideas, my concepts, and how I'm leveling the fuck up in my life and how I'm orchestrating this thing called the art of living and the teachings that I get from my mentor, Arasapar Dibazar. And, this man has completely transformed my life, completely transformed my life. And Jay Guru Dev to AZD, because without him, I wouldn't be where I'm at in communication, in imagination, in concepts and realities and perceptions and all these beautiful things that I've been able to achieve in this lifetime, 100%. And that is the most powerful thing that I can relate from one individual to another individual, is communicate more expansion behind the concepts and ideas of communication and also imagination, because these two tools, once you be able to wield, control, or predict and structure these things, your reality, what this idea, what you think reality is, begins to shift on levels that it's just something that you got to just put your seatbelt on and just get ready for the ride, and it's something for you to enjoy. That's something that I've learned through my meditation practices. Everything that we have been governed to experience, it was meant to be enjoyed. And that's where the principles of practices of the stoicism that I've embedded 100% in my life, I got them tattooed on my body, is to help, like, for example, like amor fati, that is a space that we've learned to love what is happening to us, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, doesn't matter. We all treat it with the same perspective of, like, it's inevitable to go through these things. And with that practice, I'm going to find my peace in all areas of that. And that's something that I've been able to practice. And I'm where I am in that spectrum. However, I am in that game. I am in that space or in that realm of experiencing. And that's what I want to speak from you guys from. Now, for those that, clearly notice, I've cut my locks. I'm on a whole new level of transformation. And it's something that is 100% worth speaking about, because I'm very aware that if I went through this level of transformation by just seeking the new level of potential that I'm capable of having, I'm very certain that every individual that's listening to me right now will go through some sort of facing a challenge of what I did in transformation, right? It's a lot that goes into it, because you see, me having locks, it is a huge deal. It was a huge deal, right? I used it to help propel myself in the spiritual world of understanding myself and my own self and things of that nature. And so it was in that sense very difficult to cut my hair, right? Because it's something that I've grown into. And but in my practice, I've seen that I have to learn what that is to grow something and let it serve what it needs to serve and let it go completely, so it can continue to play the role it's supposed to play by letting it go. And there's a lot of things in my life that I had to learn how to let go in relation to my identity of myself. And I seen that if that's true for me, it got to be true for a lot of people. So the main question I'm going to ask everybody today, the first question I'm going to ask, and that's kind of where I'm at in my levels of mastery right now, that I want everybody to understand, is that when I come here, I'm just going to ask you questions. Now, you don't have to answer it, like as in respond back to me right now, but it's a question that I would like to present to you to start to open up some kind of ideas and context behind the question and the answers that you come up with, and maybe what more can you expand on with these questions, right? So if you look at your identity, your current identity, I want you to ask yourself, what attachments do you have with this current identity? So let me give you another contrast behind that. If you look at yourself from 5 years ago, I 100% guarantee your identity looks different 5 years ago than it looks today. And if you look at yourself 5 years ago, you can measure within yourself what attachments you had with yourself in those five years ago. Now, something that I do for myself, I'm like, man, what have I been able to transpire? What have I been able to let go? And what more do I gotta let go of? Because there's still some things that kind of still linger somewhere in there. For myself, let me just give a clear example for myself. I could see how back then I used to be kind of hesitant to communicate what I've been able to achieve in my own inner growth. I've been hesitant to communicate on that because it's like, who's gonna believe me? Who's gonna understand? Are they even have a chance to understanding this shit? Now, where I am today, of course, I'm way more open on sharing what I'm going through in my levels of growth, right? That's the point of Levels of Mastery. And I encourage everybody to do that. Find a space in your world, whether going on live, having your own group, your own Telegram group, your own whatever, and communicate the levels of your growth. And I see now where even myself that I'm where I'm at, but I still got more growth to do in that, which comes with more practice, more consistency. So look at that in your own life. Like, man, what attachments do I still have that I gotta sincerely work on and get rid of, like, as soon as possible? You see, all the ideas that I had behind cutting my hair, it was so fascinating to see the mind react to something. Like, I remember the day I made the appointment. Like, I couldn't make the appointment the day I wanted it to really happen. So that was like a whole nother thing I had to go through, because I'm like, now I got to prolong it a little longer. That's more time for my mind to just go at it. But I'm like, that's exactly how it's supposed to happen. I'm supposed to observe my mind during this phase of transformation. Just observe, because only myself have the significance behind cutting my hair. The barber doesn't give a fuck about how I feel about my hair. That man's about to get paid. He's doing his job. I'm like, everybody else, to them, it's just like, it's going to be whatever because it's not their head. But I'm like, but look how intense this feeling is about my hair and cutting it. I'm like, nobody else feels this. This is very interesting, because I'm almost expecting them to understand what this feels like. That's another trippy part. I'm like, holy fuck, bro. Like, damn, nobody understands how serious this shit is. And I'm like, bro, people cut their hair all the time. But it's like, man, all the hard work, the maintenance, the care that comes behind having hair, because it's maintenance, right? Even with short hair, you got to maintain it. But it's like this level of care, and even I'm sure that's on both sides of the fence, because I felt that before I grew my hair. I'm like, man, I got to now grow my hair, go through all this. But I'm saying behind the activity of growing the hair, there's like this thing that builds up that became hard to let go. And I was like, this is interesting, because like, where else in my life do I have this? Started seeing that. Where in my communication in women do I have some kind of attachment behind certain things? And I've seen that this weekend. For those that don't know, I was in San Jose at the Beast Camp, Who Lies More, Men or Women game show. And it was fantastic. This is, if you want to level up in your communication, your character, your demeanor, understanding social dynamics, because you see, a lot of times we feed ourselves with a shit ton of information, and it gets to a point where it's just too much, realistically. And the only way you're going to be able to filter that properly, so you can gain the most out of the information you're constantly gathering, is emptying your cup in the field. Like you have to have a process of emptying your cup. You can't keep thinking you know it all. You can't keep thinking that you don't got to learn from nobody else. Like if that was the case, I mean, we won't be here trying to learn and read a book if we all knew everything. So we got to learn how to cut the bullshit to a degree, right? And with that, this is how you're going to level up. So I'm saying this in the sense of I'm speaking for myself in my own process, and I want everybody that's listening to me to reflect in their own process. Like, man, what process have I been going through? What activities have I been using that is aiding me in emptying my cup so I can refill it with new, vibrant understandings that I can apply and actually use? Because the worst thing for me, this is my practice, my process is like, damn, the worst thing is to get like to open the vault of all the gold and gems and gold and platinum and all these fine jewelries, and you have no means to carry it and take it with you. You just got your little ass pockets with you. That sucks. I'd rather prepare myself and go to that tomb with bags and bags and bags that I've been able to knit myself. So when I go into understanding new knowledge, I can take it with me. But if your cup is full, you're just carrying around the same old gold that you've been having, the same old, gems that you had from years and years ago, and you haven't really went to go up, get more. There's abundance, but you got to let go of something. So what are you willing to let go for what you're wanting to have? Like whatever that is, you got to do that like today, like right now. Don't wait until tomorrow, next week, when you get a little bit more closer, when things get a little bit more put together. Like you have to scratch that idea as fast as you can. Because as long as you have that idea running, that creates more space between your momentum and getting that thing, because it's always tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Listen, legit, there's no such thing as tomorrow. There's always today. Today is always right now. Think about it. Today is always right now. In the cycle of things, today is always right now. Even if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's always going to be today. So you can't push it off. You got to find out where can you internally clear out space. Sometimes it's physical, most of the time it's internal. Don't get too caught up on only the external things you're trying to get rid of, but internally, you're hanging on to more things that you can really bear on a day-to-day basis. And always accumulating more and more and more and more, but it's like, damn, I got all this shit here. It's like, it reminds me of the character. Okay, who here have seen The Mummy? The Mummy one, is it the first one or the second one? I think it's the first one. Yeah, it's the first Mummy. That character, Benny, the one that betrays the main character and he gets stuck in the pyramid by trying to steal all the gold. Like that's what I think about with people that don't know how to empty their cup. They're so fascinated in going in there and taking shit, but they're misunderstanding of like, hey, you got to empty what you have. You end up getting locked up in there. You got to empty your cup. You got to see that there's another level of, I mean, it's just where your imagination goes. So let me kind of dive into that even. Let me go into that realm a little bit more. You got to have the pure understanding that imagination is the key to operate in the world of the gods, the realm of activating the divine inside of you. It starts from there. Your imagination is the realm of where God resides inside you. You have to see this because it takes your imagination to create the next moment. When you're planning something, that is the God essence of you looking into the future. It's not the physical you, because you're here right now. The senses can only be useful in the present moment. Now, this is where memory becomes a very fascinating thing, And this is where I believe a lot of people get wrapped up on. They're too wrapped up on the past and neglecting the power of looking forward into the future. They're so caught up on looking in the past in their mind that the river of life is going this way, and they've been able to invert that inside. So when they look forward, they need more strength to look forward, because forward is solution. It's more, you got to be more solution oriented versus working in the past, because you're always relating on what happened before. So it's like you got to exercise your imagination in like, man, why? This is a question for myself. Why is it when I look forward in the future, there's so much, I lack certainty? I remember there was a phase, not now, but I'm saying there was a phase in my life where I'm like, man, if I want to project something into the future, my certainty isn't as strong. If I want to project that I want to make $2,000 extra this month, why is it that for a moment there's like a resistance to me, like, that might be a little too much. Let me do 15, or let me do like, whoa, why is that? Why does not my conscious mind feel comfortable accepting that dollar amount? Why is that? What am I internally hanging on to that when that number pops up, it's almost like I gotta, my internal self pushes that away? Or maybe when I want to get in a relationship, I want to have a certain woman in my life, when I want to communicate to her, I'm having this resistance of like, I can't have that. As you can see, if anybody that knows me now, I don't have that problem anymore because the results in my life. But I remember coming from that, like, damn, when I think about a beautiful woman, it's almost like I don't want to talk to her, because I want to talk to her, of course. But it's like, fuck, man. Like, can I really get her? Can I really have her? Right? For men to understand what I'm trying to say behind that. And it's like, why is that? So this is where I started doing a lot of internal work that I want everybody else to see. When you ask the right questions, the right doors open. What questions are you asking yourself? Are there questions that kind of stick you to the past? Are there questions that kind of stick you to a certain condition? Or are there questions that move you forward and push you forward? Is it the right sense of curiosity? Like let me speak for myself. Before where I am right now, I think that I lost a sense of purity in innocence of being curious about something. Like we got a little bit of a taste of something, and it's like we lost the curiosity of it. Like we started dating a lot of women, we started talking to some girls, and we saw the women, how they act nowadays and how they behave, and it's kind of like it kind of killed the curiosity. But what if it's just because that's just a level you've been on? You never try to go to the next level, and the next level helps the potential what the next level can be at, can generate a new level of curiosity for you. Because that's how I operate when I'm in field. I'm genuinely curious on what life has in front of me. And I'm fascinated that this happens, and then microseconds as I'm living, things can just happen. I could randomly get a phone call right now. Somebody's thinking about me in LA, in New York, and here or there, whatever the case may be. And they might just give me a phone call and be like, hey, X, Y, and Z. That's fascinating to me. That could happen at any moment. What's fascinating to me that I can go outside my door, and the way how I chose to dress myself by studying, I can create a right effect on a girl and she won't want to talk to me. That's fascinating to me. But I had to maintain myself in that frequency, or else I'm going to do what the Bible says, in the sense that I'm going to backslide. I'm going to go backwards in my life. That's no fun. I'll tell you that much. That's no fun. All right. Is there any questions or any insights or any comments or anything that I've said so far that you would want to dive into? Maybe it's something that helped shift your reality you want me to expand more on. Or maybe I'm not making any fucking sense. And you're like, man, Pyro, just go ahead and quit this shit, bro. You fucking it up. I'm open for both sides of the fence. So any questions or any insights or any comments? If not, it's all good. I'll continue moving forward. Let's see here. Where we at? Where we at? All right, cool.
Keep going with that shit, bro. Like, the points that you're making is fire. I definitely relate to the the attachment to, let's say, things like you had the attachment to the dreads, but you didn't know it until it was time to let that shit go. It's like it becomes really apparent. And yeah, man, I've made the mistake of like thinking someone else understands my internal state when it comes to something, but they
Nobody.
don't.
Nobody will ever understand, man. That's the lesson I got from just the idea of cutting them. Like I had that understanding before I even cut them, but it's like, I'm not saying that like yourself, like you have locks, right? And I'm not saying now you have to go cut your dress to get this understanding, because you don't have to do that. What I'm saying for myself is I am in the phase of my life where I had to face a fork in the road, right? And because I'm dedicated to a certain art, I'm committed to a certain art, right? Which is the art of living, the art of seduction. The art of seduction is just learning how to control your world. That's how I see it. It's more than just the surface level or the cover of the book seems like when people hear seduction. I know what that sounds like, but it's more deeper than that. It's how do you seduce life? How do you make life want to be a part of you without you pushing your influence, but just being an influence and knowing when to push and not push and things of that nature. So for myself, I faced that in the sense of like, I knew it was just the right phase for me. It was the right thing for me. And at some point, I'm sure I'm gonna grow my hair again. I'm pretty sure of it, right? And that time comes when that time comes. And I think the next time I do decide to grow my locks, it might be the last time I decide to grow my hair. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Like it comes when it comes. Like I'm very aware of that. Like when when it's time to be fully committed, and I'm never gonna cut my hair. I'm never gonna do this again. I'm not gonna do that again. And when you know. And then there's a time where you're like, you know what? I could see past this idea that I had, and it's time for me to cut, or it's time for me to grow again, or it's time for me to do this at X, Y, Z. So it's all towards your fulfillment and what you see is for yourself and what is available for you. Because I'm very aware, like I was talking to this girl right now. That's why it's important to have women in your life, because they help expose different levels of yourself that you can't see, and they help you see things differently, right? And one thing, when I cut my hair, I'm very aware that I'm more attractive to women when I have a haircut versus I have locks. Like this girl that I'm talking to, right? She was like, it's not that you were ugly or you don't look good with your locks. It's not that. It's just that how you look now with the cut, you have a different demeanor, and your look looks a lot more upfront, or looks more whatever words that she used. And I get that. And you have to measure that for yourself, right? You got to measure that for yourself. You got to measure, like, man, if I wear my character a certain way, growing the hair, facial hair, hats or whatever, right? And I'm hearing this from her. She's like, when you wear what you wear, like, she's like, I like how you put yourself together, because she's like, you wear jewelry, and I've seen you accessorize yourself with jewelry and things of that nature. But she's like, it's not like those things, and it's not like those things wear you. Like it's like you can tell that you own these things. Like those things don't have value over you. Versus when I see somebody else, you can tell that that's what they're all reliant on, and that comes from a certain energy that I carry myself. And through all these understandings. So I just kind of want to highlight that a little bit. Let me see what else I got here. I encourage, so that's all the stuff that I got off of that teaching and understanding. Where's the next phase? And what I'm saying is, once you get that ball rolling and you got it going and you're changing it up and you're like, okay, I said I want to do this, now I got it. You got to now test it. You got to get into the level of testing your game. And I think that's where almost everybody fails at, is that nobody's willing to test their game because they don't want to be exposed. You got to let go of that. That's beta as fuck. You got to let go of the idea of being exposed. Like, how can they expose something of you when you're completely letting it all go and you're willing to just be better? Like, there's nothing that anybody can quote unquote expose me for, because since I've been dedicated to this art, it has been nothing but great intentions. And I know that I'm not where I want to be at. So it's a beautiful thing for somebody else to even recognize it or register it, right? Somebody can say something like, man, when Pyro was doing this, he was bad at this, or whatever bullshit they can come up with, right? Or he didn't look as good when he had locks, whatever. Some people will get offended or feel some kind of way about their transformation, right? What if girls are like, damn, you know what? What if every girl I started linking up with, and they were like, man, I liked you better with the locks? I'm sure internally I might feel something to some degree, but the bigger picture is I don't give a fuck about that. I give a fuck about how I feel. So I'm going to be able to convert that energy into me becoming even better if that comes up. Honestly, as of right now, I haven't got that, not one time. Every girl has said, yes, you look good both ways. And some girls even said that's a flex to look good both ways. However, the vote has always been they like the shortcut more than the locks. That's just what it is. And I think that is depending on the individual. I'm sure there's some guys that look more better when they have hair, or whatever case may be on that judgment. It all depends on the individual. So you have to see within yourself. You got to design yourself. How do you design yourself where you know it's the best way to get the woman that you want, the type of relationship that you want, the type of money you want to make? How does that version of you look like? Does it really look like that? See, for me growing my hair was a phase within myself, right? The rebel phase, being a rebel. I already went through that phase and I'm good now. I've already built that power within me that is past that now. But I'm aware, once again, I'm aware of what this character does. It has a different effect in the field, right? Like I went into, like, you know, the video game when you can change your character. Like I put in Master Pyro and I was like, okay, let's put him with no lock. Let's take the hair off. Let's add some nose rings. Let's add some tattoos on the side of his head. Okay, a little more tattoos. Let's get him, put a little more weight on him. Okay, cool. Now let's put him in field now. I updated it. But I was able to do that by recognizing the results that I go in field every day. Like after this live, I'm going to go in field again. I just came from infield. And I came in field from being in Florida. And when I was in San Jose, my life is always in field. And that's why I want to get everybody to understand. Even in my room right now, I'm in field going live right now. My character has to be a certain way to do this class, this thing. So, man, on Thursday, I hope everybody's able to tap in on Thursday, because I'll be able to do more infield as far as with women that I'm talking to, where I'm at with it, debriefings. Like that's Thursdays is more dedicated to more in-depth look into my life on relationships and stuff like that, because I can't put that out on this, because this is on YouTube and that's for everybody, and it's not as private. I need a little more private space to go deeper in my life. You see what I'm saying? Right now, at the same time on Thursdays, that's what I'm aiming for. I'm still working on getting a solidified time. For right now, it'll be the same time on Thursdays, which will be around 2 p.m. And I think that is probably the most valuable. I think Tuesdays is really good too, because you get to understand what I'm going into on Thursdays. Will make more sense if you show up on Thursdays, but you know, that's what it's about right there, man. Because how I'm living my life, man, it's truly magic, man. It's truly miracles. I don't even magic is not even good enough for what I'm doing right now. And I want everybody to experience what I'm experiencing, because it's like, once again, it's the same concept of like cutting your hair. Like nobody understands what that is until they do it themselves. And I get that. I fully get that. And, you know, it's just like riding a motorcycle versus somebody that's under tricycle wheels, right? One person can make way more mistakes than another person. I can't make the same mistakes at the speed that I'm moving. You know, I just can't. Same thing with AZD and Yogi Crazy. All these high level players in the game are not even inside and outside IMC. Anybody's a high level or high value individual, they have less room for mistakes, less room for trying to stall on getting results and making transitions. You got to learn how to make transitions like this. Get out your own way. Learn how to make the time. Make the time. It's your life. You choose where your time goes. If you choose to lay down and go to sleep, you chose that. That's 3 hours that just went away. That's 3 hours of your life that's gone, bro. You're not getting that time back. You're just not. So when you're going in the field, you're like, damn, I don't know what I need to do. I guarantee you it's because you didn't invest the time you need to invest in what you need to do when you get in the field, or having the references. I am as good as I claim I am because I have the references of one of the highest level communicators and social dynamic artists that ever lived. That's where I come from. You know what I'm saying? Legit. And, that to me, that's not a light thing, because once again, this is a world that very few people are even aware of. Realistically, you say social dynamics and you got to explain that to people. The only thing that people may kind of understand if you say male and female dynamics, but to a degree, they still don't even understand that. So it's like, to me and to a lot of IMC Nation men, that is like a basic curriculum of understanding, right? Or just even knowing what that is. So take pride in this ability of just even having awareness of what social dynamics is, and the fact that you even know somewhat of the latter. Like, take more pride in that, and knowing that there's other individuals like myself, like ACD, like Mystery, like all these top players in the game are using. Indefinitely, they're using. Take pride in, you're in that lineage, you're in that group, you're in that close understanding of group, right? Anybody that decides to study the mind, how men and men relate, how women and men relate, how men to women, and all these different dynamics, social settings, and how to influence it for the better of everybody involved. Man, that's a beautiful thing to take a lot of pride in, into practice. But I think that a lot of people lost that flavor, and it shows in the results of their network, right? Your network. And the key point that I always share with people in network is not who you know or who you think you know. It's who knows you. Like, who is going to call you? Who's going to be like, yeah, I let that guy in? Like, who knows you like that? That's the real question. And that's how you establish network value. When somebody can say, you know what, this person is valuable, very valuable, don't worry about it, bring this guy in. That's the world I come from, All right, any final questions or comments or understandings or anything like that before I move forward and start closing it out? Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. All right, so let me go into the final, I guess, teaching or idea. Okay, so before I went live on IMC TV, I was talking to one of our IMC brothers that live in New Zealand. His name is Phoenix, and he was talking to me a little bit of a practice he has about the phrase "I am," and I want to go into that a little bit because it's extremely powerful. And my resource behind this, or my reference behind what I'm going to say, is going to be coming from Neville Goddard, but I'm just injecting my own life experiences, understanding behind what I've learned from Neville Goddard, which is the phrase "I am." Now, this is a very powerful teaching that has completely shifted my life, which is, for those that don't know, like, I am is the first name of what we call God. I am that I am. And let's just look at that alone. God says, I am that I am. So if God is I am, that I am, what are you putting behind I am? Because once you say that in the next thing, you're sparking the God in you. That's why you got to be conscious behind saying, I'm broke, I don't have this, I am unable to, I'm this and that. You gotta close the faucet on that negative shit behind the words I am, because that is the deepest core of who you are on the subconscious level, is I am, because that is the core of awareness, right? like I am not feeling well. I am tired. It is the state that you're aware that you're in, right? But you can control it by emphasizing what you want things to be and staying true. Now, Neville Goddard says the biggest problem that men have is anything but just knowing how to believe in what they're saying for themselves. That is the biggest problem that men have, that they can't believe that they just have to believe to have what they need to have. It's like the strength of having faith behind believing that their words create their reality. The lack of believing that their behavior and how they choose to carry themselves is creating their reality. And that if you just take ownership behind your communication and how you speak to yourself in the inner world, I'm very aware of something that everybody's condition is based on how their inner talking is. That's all that's going on. My life changed the moment I practiced my inner talking. I said, you know what? That's part of my locks practice. I did a lot more inner talking than I did talking verbally. Now I'm here to shout verbally because internally I've been shouting internally, and it's just waking up this thing inside of me. And that's the practice. Is you got to learn how to shift your inner world. And it starts with I am. It starts with how you use that phrase right there. Just become more aware of how you're saying I am throughout today. Realize that there's going to be some moments where you're like, there's a lot of negative pull behind I am. I'm tired. I'm this, I'm that, I'm blah, 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 blah. It's not that you're going to ignore that you're tired or you're whatever, but it's like, how much of that are you reaffirming? Versus if you reaffirm something else, next thing you know, you're like, man, I got more energy than I normally do. Man, I went through the whole day today not wanting any coffee. I went through the whole day today not wanting to do this or having to do that. Yeah, it's going to be moments where it's like, you got to do what you got to do to get through the day. But if you practice certain things, you start realizing that you don't need as much things as you thought you need if you change your vocabulary to yourself. That's the relation to yourself. The relation to I am and your body is another level, right? Mind-body connection. You can cut off your finger, your hand, your leg, and you're not those things, but I can't cut off your mind. We can't do that. We can splice open everybody's head right now, and we cannot find the mind. So we got to understand that we're coming from a space that is not physically here. I know it seems like that because we're attached to our eyes and we're physically looking here, but that's what things go into. Now I'm going to leave it with this. I'm going to close it with this because I literally just read this. And maybe this might give you guys a good perspective on what I'm saying. There is a meme, and this is what it says. It says, I'll show it to you guys. This is what it looks like. I want to post this on my story today. So if you want to see it on my story, you can and get it from there if you want. It says, physically, I'm on Earth. Mentally, I'm in the galaxies. Spiritually, I'm in a whole other dimension. That is where I'm at with life right now, for sure. For sure. It's literally what I got tatted right here. It's literally that same process. Spiritually, I'm in another dimension. Mentally, I'm in the galaxies, and physically, I'm on Earth. Just think about that perspective a little bit. All right. Salute to all my brothers in Irons Nation, everybody else that's watching this. Remember, this is something for you to expand your mind with these ideas and concepts and let them go. Let them go. Change is going to happen on its own. However, just grow in your awareness of what you've gained by listening to me today. All right. This is your boy, Master Pyro, your host. Once again, on Thursdays is more private, meaning I go more in depth behind my messages, things of that nature. You know, infield game is more of like game related, social dynamics related, things of that nature. This is, like I said, talking about concepts and ideas to expand the mind and The other session is more like hands-on and more in depth how I'm doing things, right? And to be more in touch with that, I'll be on my Telegram group. And if you want to get a hold of that, go on my Instagram, master_pyro with a 0. And the link in my bio will give you the link to my Telegram group, and you join there and you just tap in. All right, this is your boy Master Pyro once again signing out. Thank you everybody for tapping in with me. Stay smooth.